The red warning lights flashed across the command bridge of the Altarian defense station as Commander Zexthara watched the impossible readings on his screens. His forearms moved quickly over the control panels while his large black eyes focused on the data streaming in from the deep space sensors. Something massive had just crossed into the Necros quarantine zone, and every alarm in the sector was screaming about it. "Sir, the object is moving at incredible speed through the dead systems," reported Lieutenant Veltar from the sensor station. "It appears to be a warship, but the design does not match any known Federation vessel in our database." Zexthara's scaled skin changed color from blue to dark purple as stress hormones flooded his system. The Necros quarantine zone had been sealed for over 300 years after a terrible plague killed everything in 17 star systems. No ship was allowed to enter that cursed region of space, and nothing had ever come out of it alive. The zone was surrounded by automated warning buoys and defense platforms that would destroy any vessel that tried to cross the boundary. "How did it get past our warning systems?" Zexthara demanded as he moved to look at the tactical display. The unknown ship appeared as a bright red dot moving steadily through the first infected system. It was huge, easily twice the size of their largest battleship, and it seemed to be ignoring every attempt at communication. "Unknown, sir," Veltar replied nervously. "The automated systems show no record of any breach. It is as if the ship simply appeared inside the quarantine zone." On the main screen, enhanced images from their long-range telescopes showed the mysterious vessel in detail. It had a sleek dark hull covered in strange geometric patterns that seemed to absorb their sensor beams. The ship's design was unlike anything Zexthara had seen in his 40 years of military service. It looked organic in some ways, as if it had been grown rather than built, but the metal hull and weapon systems were clearly artificial. "Send an immediate priority message to Federation High Command," Zexthara ordered. "Tell them we have an unknown warship inside the Necros quarantine zone. Request immediate backup and instructions." As his communications officer worked to send the message, Zexthara studied the readings more carefully. The ship's energy signature was strange, unlike any known propulsion system. It seemed to be using some form of quantum drive that barely registered on their instruments. More disturbing was the fact that their computers could not identify the materials used in the ship's construction. Lieutenant Kira Voss entered the bridge at that moment. She was one of only 3 humans serving on the Altarian defense station and worked as a liaison officer between the Federation and the human colonial governments. Her blonde hair was tied back in a military style, and her blue eyes showed concern as she looked at the tactical display. "Commander, I received word that you have detected an unknown vessel," she said in fluent Altarian. "My government is asking if this might be one of our deep space exploration ships." Zexthara turned to face her, despite his initial distrust of humans when she first arrived. He had come to respect Kira's intelligence and dedication over the past 2 years. She had proven herself many times, and her knowledge of human technology had been valuable in several situations. "Lieutenant Voss, please examine these readings and tell me if this matches any human ship design," he said, gesturing toward the display. Kira moved to the sensor console and began studying the data. Her fingers moved quickly over the human design interface that had been added for her use. After several minutes, her expression grew puzzled and then alarmed. "Sir, this is definitely human in origin," she said slowly. "I can see design elements that match our shipbuilding techniques, but this vessel is far more advanced than anything in our current fleet. The quantum resonance patterns are similar to our drives, but the power output is impossible with our current technology. Could this be a secret military project?" Zexthara asked. Kira shook her head. "I have security clearance for all human military projects in this sector. We have no ships this large or advanced." Our biggest warship is the UFS Enterprise, and it is less than half the size of this vessel. The communication station suddenly came alive with incoming messages. Reports were flooding in from monitoring stations throughout the sector as the mysterious ship moved deeper into the quarantine zone. It was heading directly for the heart of the dead systems, toward the original plague world of Xerion Prime. "Sir, I am receiving a message from Admiral Vex Ron at Federation Command," the communications officer reported. "All available ships are being redirected to establish a blockade around the quarantine zone. We are ordered to prevent the unknown vessel from leaving the infected region at all costs." Zexthara nodded grimly. If the plague somehow got out of the quarantine zone, it could spread throughout the galaxy and kill billions of people. The Federation had learned this lesson the hard way 3 centuries ago, when the first outbreak nearly destroyed 5 different civilizations. "What about evacuation of nearby systems?" Kira asked. "Already in progress," Zexthara replied. All civilian traffic within 50 light years is being rerouted. This is now classified as a Class 1 galactic emergency. On the main screen, the mysterious ship continued its steady progress through the dead systems. Long-range sensors showed it was scanning the dead planets as it passed, sending out probe signals that penetrated deep into the poisoned atmospheres. Whatever it was looking for, it seemed to know exactly where to find it. "Sir, we are getting a better image of the ship's hull markings," Veltar announced. "The computer has enhanced the visual data." The main screen changed to show a close-up view of the vessel's side. Strange symbols were carved into the dark metal, arranged in patterns that hurt to look at directly. But near the front of the ship, in simple human letters, was a name that made Kira gasp in surprise. "USV Harbinger," she read aloud. "That is definitely a human ship designation, but I have never heard of any vessel by that name." Zexthara watched as more data came in from the tracking stations. The Harbinger was now approaching Xerion Prime, the first world to die from the plague. Ancient orbital platforms dead for centuries were somehow coming back to life as the ship approached. Energy readings spiked across the system as dormant technology began to activate. "Lieutenant Voss, contact your government immediately," Zexthara ordered. "Find out everything you can about this Harbinger. Check historical records, classified files, everything." As Kira worked at her station, the mysterious ship finally sent out its first communication. The message was broadcast on old emergency frequencies that had not been used for over 200 years. When the translation came through, it sent chills through everyone on the bridge. "Pandora Protocol initiated," the message said in ancient Earth English. "Prepare for revelation." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UFS Intrepid as his mixed crew prepared to enter the Necros quarantine zone. The Federation had chosen him to lead the investigation fleet because of his experience with dangerous missions and his ability to work with different alien species. His brown hair was starting to show gray at the temples after 20 years of service, but his green eyes remained sharp and focused. "All ships report ready, Captain," announced Commander Lisa Hayes from the communication station. The fleet consisted of 5 vessels, including Morrison's heavy cruiser, 2 destroyers, a science ship, and a supply vessel. Each ship carried specialists who might be needed to understand what the Harbinger was doing in the dead systems. "Take us in," Morrison ordered. "Stay in formation and keep all sensors active. We have no idea what we might encounter in there." Dr. Elena Rodriguez joined Morrison at the command station as they crossed into the quarantine zone. She was the fleet's lead xenorchaeologist and had spent years studying the civilizations that died in the plague. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her brown eyes showed both excitement and concern about finally entering the Forbidden region. "Captain, the atmospheric readings from the dead worlds are already showing unusual changes," she reported while studying her tablet. Several planets that have been toxic for 3 centuries are showing signs of atmospheric improvement. Chief Engineer Ben Walsh looked up from his engineering console with surprise. His grandfather had served in the early human expansion fleets and had told him stories about the plague years. Ben's red hair and freckled face made him look younger than his 35 years, but he was one of the best engineers in the Federation. "Fleet, that's impossible," Ben said. "The molecular structure of the plague toxins should prevent any natural recovery for at least another 1,000 years. Whatever is causing this change has to be artificial." The fleet's sensors tracked the Harbinger as it moved through the Kepler system toward the dead world of Zerion Prime. The mysterious ship was maintaining a steady course and seemed to be deploying small objects into space as it traveled. These objects were too small to identify clearly, but they appeared to be heading toward the poisoned planets. "Captain, I'm detecting energy surges from the surface of Zerion Prime," reported the science officer. "Something down there is responding to the Harbinger's presence." Morrison studied the tactical display as more information came in from their sensors. The plague had killed everything on 17 worlds, turning lush garden planets into toxic wastelands where nothing could survive. The Federation had tried for decades to find a way to clean up the contamination, but every attempt had failed. "Dr. Rodriguez, what do you know about the original plague outbreak?" Morrison asked. Elena pulled up historical files on her tablet. "The official records say it started on Zerion Prime in 2089 and spread rapidly through the sector. The plague was unlike anything ever encountered. It seemed to target the molecular structure of organic compounds and spread through both air and water. Entire planets died within weeks." "But you don't believe the official story," Morrison observed, noting the doubt in her voice. "There are too many inconsistencies," Elena admitted. "The plague spread too quickly and too perfectly. Natural diseases don't work that way. It was almost as if it was designed to kill everything as efficiently as possible." Ben Walsh accessed the engineering database and studied the Harbinger's energy readings. "Captain, that ship is using technology I've never seen before. Power. Signatures suggest they're manipulating matter at the quantum level. That's beyond anything the Federation has developed." "Could it be precursor technology?" Elena asked. The precursors were an ancient alien race that had disappeared millions of years ago, leaving behind ruins and artifacts throughout the galaxy. "It's possible," Ben replied. "Some of the energy patterns match theoretical models for precursor engineering, but combined with human design principles. It's like someone took our technology and merged it with artifacts from the ancient ruins." The fleet continued deeper into the quarantine zone, following the Harbinger's path through the dead systems. As they approached Zerion Prime, their sensors detected something extraordinary. The planet's toxic atmosphere was clearing in several locations, revealing glimpses of the surface that had been hidden for centuries. "My God," Elena whispered as she studied the readings. "The molecular bonds of the plague toxins are breaking down. Whatever the Harbinger deployed is actually reversing the contamination." Morrison ordered the fleet to take up position in orbit around Zerion Prime while they studied the phenomenon. The mysterious ship had entered the planet's atmosphere and was flying low over areas that had once been major cities. Strange devices were being dropped from the Harbinger's hull, and wherever they landed, the poisonous clouds began to dissipate. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups across the planet's surface," the tactical officer reported. "Ancient installations are coming online after 3 centuries of dormancy." Through the clearing atmosphere, the crew could see enormous structures emerging from the toxic fog. These were not the ruins of the civilization that had died in the plague, but something far older. Massive pyramids and tower complexes stretched across continents, their surfaces covered in the same geometric patterns that decorated the Harbingers. "Hull, those are precursor ruins," Elena said with excitement. but they're in perfect condition, as if they were just built yesterday. The plague must have been preserving them somehow. Ben accessed more detailed scans of the ancient structures. Captain, these installations are generating massive amounts of energy. They're connected by underground conduits that span the entire planet. This isn't just a city, it's a planetary engineering system. Morrison felt a chill as he realized the implications. Dr. Rodriguez, you said the plague seemed designed to kill everything efficiently. What if that wasn't the real purpose? What if it was meant to clear the planets so these installations could be revealed? Elena's face went pale as she considered the possibility. If that's true, then someone knew about these precursor sites before the plague started. Someone wanted to expose them, but needed to eliminate the existing populations first. That would mean the plague wasn't a natural disaster or an accident, Ben added grimly. It would mean it was genocide on a massive scale, committed to hide the existence of ancient alien technology. The Harbinger continued its work across Sirion Prime's surface, systematically clearing the contamination and revealing more precursor installations. Ancient spires began broadcasting energy signals into space, creating a network of communication beams that stretched between the dead worlds. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Harbinger, Commander Hayes announced. It's using old Federation emergency codes that haven't been active for over 200 years. Morrison straightened in his command chair. Put it through. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of an unknown ship's bridge. The figure who appeared was clearly human, wearing a uniform style that Morrison recognized from historical records. The man had dark hair and tired eyes that seemed to carry the weight of centuries. Federation vessel, this is Commander Alex Carter of the Deep Space Research Ship Harbinger, the figure said. We have been waiting a long time to make contact. There are things you need to know about this sector and the real reason these worlds died. Captain Morrison stared at the image of Commander Carter on the main screen, trying to understand how this was possible. The man's uniform belonged to the early colonial period, when humans first began exploring deep space over 400 years ago. His weathered face and tired eyes suggested someone who had lived through terrible experiences, but he appeared to be only middle-aged. Commander Carter, according to our records, no ship named Harbinger has been in active service for over 2 centuries, Morrison said carefully. Can you explain how you came to be in this quarantine zone? Carter's expression grew grim as he looked directly at Morrison through the communication link. Captain, what year do you believe it is? The year is 2387, Morrison replied, wondering why Carter would ask such a strange question. Ben, we have been trapped here longer than we calculated, Carter said quietly. My ship departed Earth in 2156 on a classified research mission to investigate reports of alien ruins in this sector. We discovered something that certain parties did not want revealed to the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez moved closer to the screen, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. Commander, are you claiming that your ship has been in this region for over 200 years? That's impossible without some form of temporal displacement. You are correct, Doctor, Carter replied. We became caught in a chronoten storm while trying to escape pursuit. The storm created a temporal loop that has kept us and our ship existing in multiple time periods simultaneously. We have experienced centuries of subjective time while remaining anchored to this location. Ben Walsh checked his engineering readings and found something that supported Carter's impossible claim. Captain, the Harbinger's quantum signature is fluctuating in ways that match theoretical models for temporal displacement. The energy patterns show signs of chronoten radiation exposure. Morrison felt his understanding of the situation shifting, as he realized they were dealing with something far beyond a simple quarantine breach. Commander Carter, you mentioned that you discovered something in this sector. What did you find that was worth trapping yourself in time to protect? Carter's image flickered as interference from the precursor installations affected their communication link. Captain, the plague that killed these worlds was not a natural disaster or an accidental release. It was a weapon deployed by the Altarian Empire to eliminate human colonies that had discovered the true nature of this sector. The bridge crew exchanged shocked glances as the implications of Carter's words sank in. Elena Rodriguez was the first to speak, her voice filled with disbelief and growing anger. Are you saying that the Altarians deliberately murdered billions of people to cover up archaeological discoveries? Not just archaeological sites, Doctor, Carter replied. This entire sector contains a network of precursor installations that can manipulate matter and energy on a planetary scale. The ancient civilization that built these systems left them dormant, waiting for a younger species to prove themselves worthy of inheriting the technology. Ben accessed more detailed scans of the precursor ruins emerging from Zarian Prime's clearing atmosphere. Captain, if these installations are connected across multiple star systems, we could be looking at the most advanced technology ever discovered. The power requirements alone would dwarf anything the Federation has built. Morrison studied the tactical display, showing the growing network of energy beams connecting the dead worlds as more installations came online. Commander Carter, why didn't your original mission report these findings to Earth? Carter's expression darkened with old pain and anger. We tried, Captain, but the Altarian fleet intercepted our transmissions and realized what we had found. They gave us a choice: abandon our discoveries and leave the sector, or be destroyed along with every human colony in the region. But you refused to abandon the mission, Morrison observed. My crew voted unanimously to stay and protect the evidence, Carter said with pride. We knew that if the Altarians could suppress this discovery, they would continue to treat humanity as a junior partner in the Federation, while secretly controlling access to the galaxy's most valuable resources. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up historical files on her tablet, cross-referencing dates and locations. The timeline matches, Captain. The first reports of plague outbreaks came just weeks after the last transmission from several human archaeological expeditions in this sector. The official investigation concluded that the expeditions were lost to equipment failures. Because the Altarians controlled the investigation, Carter added bitterly, they made sure that no evidence of their crimes would ever reach the Federation Council or the human colonial governments. Ben Walsh discovered something else in his engineering analysis that made the situation even more complex. Captain, the Harbinger's technology isn't just advanced human engineering combined with precursor artifacts. The ship's quantum matrix shows signs of temporal evolution. It has been upgrading itself during the centuries it spent in the time loop. We have had considerable time to study and integrate precursor technology, Carter confirmed. Our mission has evolved from simple research to developing the tools needed to expose the truth and restore these worlds to habitability. Morrison realized that they were witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. Commander, what exactly is your current mission? Why reveal yourselves now after hiding for so long? Carter's image steadied as the communication link strengthened. Captain, we have spent centuries preparing for this moment. The precursor network is designed to test younger civilizations by presenting them with challenges that reveal their true character. The Altarians failed that test by choosing genocide over cooperation. And humanity? Elena asked. Your species has proven itself through sacrifice and determination, Carter replied. We have been monitoring Federation communications and watching how humans have responded to crisis throughout the galaxy. You have consistently chosen to help others, even when it meant risking your own safety. The tactical display suddenly filled with new contacts as more ships entered the quarantine zone. Ben identified them as Altarian military vessels, moving at maximum speed toward their position. Morrison counted at least 20 warships, far more than needed for a simple containment. Mission: Captain Morrison, you need to understand something crucial, Carter said urgently as he noticed the approaching fleet. The Altarian government knows we are here and what we represent. They will do anything to prevent the truth from reaching the galactic community, including starting a war with humanity. Morrison watched the Altarian fleet take up attack positions around the quarantine zone boundary. Commander, are you saying they would actually fire on Federation vessels to maintain their cover-up? Several high-ranking Altarian officials are direct descendants of those who ordered the original genocide, Carter explained. They have spent their entire lives maintaining the lie that the plague was a natural disaster. If the truth comes out, it will destroy their political power and expose their families as war criminals. Ben Walsh detected energy buildups from the Altarian ships that indicated they were charging their weapon systems. Captain, those ships are preparing to fire. Their targeting systems are locked onto both us and the Harbinger. Dr. Rodriguez stared at the tactical display in disbelief. They're really going to attack us to keep their secrets hidden. Carter's voice took on a tone of grim determination. Captain Morrison, my crew and I have spent centuries preparing for this confrontation. The precursor network is almost fully activated and will soon begin broadcasting the historical truth to every civilization in the galaxy. But first, we need to survive the next few hours. Morrison looked at his crew and realized that they were about to become part of something much larger than a simple first contact situation. Commander Carter, what do you need us to do? Captain Morrison faced the most difficult decision of his career as the Altarian fleet moved into attack formation around the quarantine zone. His orders from Federation Command were clear: contain the situation and prevent any contamination from escaping the dead systems. But the evidence Dr. Rodriguez had gathered proved that the Altarians had been lying about the plague for over 3 centuries. Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Vex Ron, Commander Hayes announced from the communications station. He's ordering us to withdraw immediately and allow the Altarian fleet to handle the situation. Morrison studied the tactical display showing 20 Altarian warships surrounding his small investigation fleet. The enemy vessels were larger and more heavily armed than his ships, but something about their aggressive positioning bothered him. This looked more like a military assault than a containment operation. Sir, the Altarian ships are powering up. Their main weapons, reported the tactical officer. They're targeting both our fleet and the Harbinger. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her analysis of the precursor data with alarm. Captain, if they destroy the Harbinger now, we'll lose centuries of research and the only proof of what really happened in this sector. The galaxy will never know the truth about the genocide. Ben Walsh monitored the energy readings from the growing precursor network as more installations came online across the dead worlds. Captain, the ancient systems are approaching full activation. Commander Carter was right. They're preparing to broadcast something to the entire galaxy. Morrison opened a channel to the Altarian fleet commander. The alien's scaled face appeared on screen, his large black eyes showing barely controlled rage. Admiral Kexthar was known throughout the Federation for his aggressive tactics and his hatred of human expansion into traditional Altarian territory. Captain Morrison, you will withdraw your vessels immediately, Kexthar demanded. This is now an Altarian military operation under emergency protocols. Any interference will be considered an act of war against the Empire. Admiral, we are operating under Federation authority, Morrison replied carefully. Our mission is to investigate the unknown vessel and assess any threat to galactic security. Kexthar's skin changed to a deeper shade of purple, indicating extreme agitation. The threat has been assessed and will be eliminated. The contaminated ship and any vessels that have been exposed must be destroyed to prevent the spread of the plague. Morrison realized that the Altarian admiral was planning to kill everyone who had learned the truth about the genocide. Admiral, Our ships show no signs of contamination. There is no justification for destroying Federation vessels and their crews. There is every justification. Kexthar snarled before cutting the communication link. Commander Carter's voice came through the speakers as the Harbinger moved closer to Morrison's fleet. Captain, the Altarians have made their choice. They would rather start a war than allow the truth to be revealed. My crew and I have prepared for this moment for centuries. Ben Walsh detected massive energy buildups from the Harbinger as its advanced systems came fully online. Captain, that ship is generating more power than our entire fleet combined. Whatever technology they've developed, it's beyond anything in our database. The first shots came from the Altarian flagship as Admiral Kexthar opened fire on the Harbinger. The mysterious human ship's shields absorbed the energy blasts without any visible damage, while return fire from the Harbinger's weapons cut through the Altarian vessel's defenses like they were made of paper. All ships' defensive positions. Morrison ordered as more Altarian vessels joined the attack. Protect the Harbinger and maintain formation. Captain Lisa Parker of the destroyer UFS Defiant was the first to break from the investigation fleet and move to support the Harbinger. Her voice came through the communication system with determination and anger. Morrison, I've read Dr. Rodriguez's analysis of the plague data. These Altarian bastards murdered billions of our people and covered it up for 3 centuries. I'm not letting them get away with it. Commander Ryan Brooks of the cruiser UFS Vigilant followed Parker's lead, moving his ship between the Altarian fleet and the Harbinger. All human vessels, this is Brooks. We have a choice to make here. We can follow orders and let the truth be buried forever, or we can stand up for our murdered colonists and make sure the galaxy knows what really happened. Morrison watched as more human captains in the investigation fleet made the same choice. The supply ship UFS Guardian and the science vessel UFS Discovery moved to form a protective formation around the Harbinger, their smaller weapons adding to the defensive firepower. Dr. Rodriguez monitored the precursor network as ancient installations across 17 star systems reached full activation. Captain, the broadcasts are beginning. Every civilization in the galaxy is about to receive historical records, genetic evidence, and technical data proving that the Altarians committed genocide. The space around Zarian Prime filled with energy. Beams as the precursor network came alive. Massive transmitters emerged from the planet's surface and began sending powerful signals toward every inhabited system within 1,000 light years. The signals carried data that had been preserved for over 3 centuries, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth. Ben Walsh accessed the incoming data streams and realized the scope of what the precursors had recorded. My God, Captain! They documented everything. The original human expeditions, the discovery of the ruins, the Altarian response, even recordings of the meetings where they decided to deploy the plague. Admiral Kexthar's fleet intensified their attack as they realized what was happening. More Altarian reinforcements emerged from hyperspace, bringing their total force to over 30 warships. They were no longer trying just to contain the situation. They were fighting to prevent the complete exposure of their civilization's darkest secret. The Harbinger's weapons systems proved to be devastatingly effective against the Altarian ships. Energy beams that seemed to bend space itself tore through enemy hulls, while defensive fields deflected incoming fire with impossible efficiency. Commander Carter's crew had spent centuries perfecting their integration of precursor technology with human engineering. Captain Morrison, this is Carter, came the transmission from the mysterious ship. The network activation is 60% complete, but the Altarians are bringing in their entire sector fleet. We need more time to ensure the broadcasts reach every civilization in the galaxy. Morrison studied the tactical situation as more enemy ships continued to arrive. His small fleet was outnumbered 10 to 1. And even with the Harbinger's advanced technology, they were facing overwhelming odds. But the precursor broadcasts were already reaching the nearest star systems, and response signals were coming back from dozens of civilizations. All human vessels, this is Morrison, he announced on the fleet communication channel. We are witnessing the most important moment in galactic history. The truth about the murder of our people is finally being revealed, and we have the chance to make sure it reaches everyone. Whatever happens in the next few hours, our species will finally get justice for the colonies we lost. The battle intensified as more Altarian ships joined the fight, but the precursor network continued its broadcasts. Ancient voices speaking in long-dead languages told the story of genocide and cover-up, while technical specifications revealed the true purpose of the plague. The galaxy was learning that one of its most respected civilizations had built its power on the bones of murdered humans. Captain Parker's destroyer took heavy damage from concentrated Altarian fire, but she refused to withdraw. Morrison, the network is at 80% activation. We just need to hold them off a little longer. The precursor network reached full activation as the final installations came online across the 17 dead worlds. Captain Morrison watched on his tactical display as energy beams connected every ancient site into a massive communication web that spanned the entire sector. The broadcasts were now reaching civilizations throughout the galaxy, carrying evidence that would change everything. Captain, we're receiving response signals from over 200 star systems, Dr. Rodriguez reported with excitement. The Vulcan Science Academy, the Centauri Trade Federation, the Rigel Consortium, every major civilization is acknowledging receipt of the historical data. Ben Walsh monitored the incoming transmissions as governments and scientific institutions across the galaxy began analyzing the evidence. Sir, the Federation Council has called an emergency session. Representatives from 50 different species are demanding immediate explanations from the Altarian Empire. Admiral Kexthar's fleet continued their desperate attack on the Harbinger and the human vessels protecting it. But the Altarian commander situation was becoming hopeless as more of his ships fell to the advanced weapons of the mysterious human warship. The centuries that Commander Carter's crew had spent perfecting their technology showed in every devastating shot. Morrison, this is Parker, came the transmission from the damaged destroyer UFS Defiant. My ship is badly hurt, but we're still fighting. The whole galaxy is watching now. We can't let these murderers silence the truth. Captain Morrison felt pride swell in his chest as he watched his fellow human officers choose honor over orders. Commander Brooks in the UFS Vigilant had positioned his cruiser to shield the science vessel UFS Discovery while it transmitted additional data to support the precursor broadcasts. Every human in the fleet understood they were fighting for more than their own lives. The space battle reached its turning point when 3 Altarian heavy cruisers concentrated their fire on the Harbinger's port side. For a moment, it seemed like the ancient ship's shields might fail under the massive assault. But Commander Carter activated systems that had never been seen before in galactic warfare. My God, Ben Walsh whispered as he watched the Harbinger phase in and out of normal space. They're using dimensional manipulation technology. The ship is moving through parallel dimensions to avoid enemy fire. The Harbinger reappeared behind the attacking Altarian cruisers and fired weapons that seemed to tear holes in reality itself. The enemy ships simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, but erased from spacetime, as if they had never been built. Admiral Kexthar's remaining vessels began to retreat as they realized they were facing technology beyond their understanding. This is Commander Carter to all vessels, came the transmission from the mysterious ship. The precursor network has completed its primary function. The truth about the genocide has been broadcast to every civilization in the galaxy. But the network has one more gift to offer. Dr. Rodriguez watched her instruments as the ancient installations began a new sequence of transmissions. Captain, they're sending technical specifications and star charts. The precursors are sharing their technology with the entire galaxy. Morrison studied the incoming data and realized the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Carter, are you saying the ancient civilization left instructions for faster-than-light travel, energy generation, and planetary engineering? Among other things, Carter replied. The precursor test was designed to identify species worthy of inheriting their legacy. Humanity has proven itself through sacrifice and determination to seek truth regardless of the cost. Ben Walsh accessed the technical data and felt his understanding of physics expand beyond anything he had learned in engineering school. Captain, these specifications show how to build drives that can cross the galaxy in days instead of years. We're looking at technology that will revolutionize space travel for every civilization. The Altarian fleet began a full retreat as Admiral Kextar realized his mission had failed completely. The truth was now spreading throughout the galaxy faster than he could possibly contain it. Emergency sessions were being called in dozens of star systems as governments struggled to process the revelation that one of the Federation's founding members had committed genocide. Morrison, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth, Commander Hayes announced. President Williams is ordering all human vessels to stand down and return to Federation space immediately. Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the Harbinger moving toward the edge of the quarantine zone. The mysterious ship that had started this crisis was preparing to leave, its mission finally complete after centuries of waiting. Commander Carter, what are your intentions now? Morrison asked. Carter's weathered face appeared on the main screen one final time. Captain, my crew and I have spent subjective centuries preparing for this moment. We have fulfilled our oath to protect humanity and ensure justice for our murdered colonists. Now we intend to explore the galaxy using the star charts the precursors provided. Dr. Rodriguez realized what Carter was planning. You're going to the worlds the precursors indicated, aren't you? The ones beyond the current galactic borders, where new civilizations might be developing. The precursor network has identified hundreds of inhabited worlds that are ready for contact with more advanced species. Carter confirmed. Someone needs to make sure they are approached with wisdom and respect, not exploitation and greed. Ben. Walsh watched the energy readings from the Harbinger as it prepared to engage its dimensional drive. Captain, their technology is beyond anything we could imagine. They could travel to other galaxies if they wanted to. The political ramifications of the day's events were already becoming clear as more transmissions reached Morrison's fleet. Altarian Empire was facing complete collapse as dozens of their colony worlds declared independence rather than be associated with the genocide. The Federation Council was in chaos as representatives demanded the prosecution of war criminals and the restructuring of galactic government. Captain Morrison, humanity will face challenges in the coming years as the galaxy adjusts to these revelations, Carter said solemnly. But your species has proven it deserves a place among the stars. The precursor technology will help you claim that place. Morrison watched as the Harbinger began to fade from normal space-time, using technology that bent the laws of physics in ways that human science was only beginning to understand. Commander, will we see you again? Perhaps, Carter replied with a tired smile. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders waiting to be discovered. But first, there are younger civilizations that need guidance and protection from those who would exploit them. The Harbinger disappeared completely, leaving only a brief distortion in space to mark where it had been. Morrison's fleet was alone with the restored worlds of the former quarantine zone, where the toxic atmosphere was continuing to clear and ancient precursor installations stood ready to share their knowledge with the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez studied the data from the precursor broadcasts and realized they were witnessing the beginning of a new age. Captain, the technical specifications include instructions for terraforming dead worlds and healing damaged ecosystems. We could restore every planet that was poisoned by the plague. Ben Walsh accessed more of the precursor data and found Star. Charts showing thousands of unexplored systems beyond the current boundaries of known space. Sir, these charts reveal entire regions of the galaxy that no one has ever visited. We're looking at centuries of exploration and discovery. Morrison looked at his crew and realized that history would remember this day as the moment humanity truly claimed its place among the stars. The mysterious warning about a human warship entering restricted space had become the herald of a new era where the truth could not be hidden and justice would finally be served. The restored worlds of the Necros quarantine zone stood as monuments to the price of seeking truth and the power of human determination to protect the innocent. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity would never again be considered a junior partner in galactic civilization.